Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, we are here with another DistroWars, and I got a cat running around the desk now. Hey kitty, you want to lay down or do you want to go? Just don't run across the monitor. Thank you. All right, no offense if you need to go and have a look at the Google stream. That's fine by me. I just happen to have other things I need to do today, so if I'm going to stream, it's gotta be now. But anyway, I am not offended if you need to go ahead and have a look at the Google event, though. That's okay. Why does big channels like Unbox Therapy have the event? Well, I don't know. There's different rules for large creators than small creators, and YouTube already apparently does not like my content, so, you know. One of them things, but that's okay. We will go ahead and proceed with the video. Let's go ahead and see who is here. Greetings, everybody. Additional, how's it going there? Alex Revolution, greetings to you. Fair OS Dev, how's it going there? Keegan, hello. Moonbase Alpha Grays, greetings, and take me to your leader. I wish PopOS had mirror selections, though. That would be a neat thing. Let's see. Jake Stone, how's it going there? Greetings to you. And Enza, how's it going there? You did a compelling video about Google Android. Didn't see it in my feed. Did not even know about it. So the Google is going to start enforcing the 30% app fee for anything and require all purchases for Google apps to go inside of the Google Play services. Basically, it's the same thing that Apple has. Turns out that that's always been the case, but they just haven't ever enforced it. Now they're going to start enforcing it as of January. I think it's January 20th or January 30th or so, 2021. All newly submitted apps must use all financial services going through Google Play services, and every app that's already on the store is grandfathered in until September 20th. But yeah, I did a nice video on that, and I thought a lot of people would watch that, and it's actually gotten like 600 views, which is amazingly small. Very interesting. But, you know, I haven't been seeing weird stuff like that on the channel. I don't know if I'm just not getting the correct numbers supported. For about 2 or 3 weeks, you get a notification on the back that says, hey, you know, the numbers may not be accurate. So I don't know what's going on, but I'll know that a channel the size of mine should be getting more than 1,000 views per video, which is very interestingly compelling. So either people hate the content I'm doing these days, or it's being blocked or something else. And I don't know which one it is. It'd be nice if somebody told me one way or the other. But anyway. But yeah, I did a nice compelling video about Google Android yesterday, and yeah, no, 600 views. I was like, that's very interesting. And it started at #1. It started in the first hour. It got like more views than any other video I had in the hour, and then it just instantly stopped. Very interesting. But let's see. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. With the kitty that close to the treat bag, he's definitely not praying. Lead us not into temptations. That's right. He's definitely praying, lead us into temptations, man. All right. Staying here and enjoying the chat. All right. Yeah, some people put on multiple of them at the same time. So you'll kind of see when I jump over to the video to see the content. Or you can see when I'm doing that and say, oh, he'll upload that later on. And so we'll go back and look at the other one. I don't know. Let's see. Easy for large channels to get express permission to stream stuff like that because of the amount of views they get. Guaranteed high view counts for the event are being streamed. Probably. The first 15-20 minutes of the event is useless talk. Is it starting right now? If it's starting right now, maybe I'll just do my content fast and be done with it. Personally, I've never cared enough about devices or other aspects of technology to wait for and watch the event. If something that interests me, I'll read about later. Yeah, or you'll get the highlights, things like that. I'll usually catch the highlights from some of the big channels, which is kind of my preference, rather than watching the whole event. Did anybody else watch the presidential debate last night? That was a train wreck. It was like 2 train wrecks happening simultaneously. It was like, is there going to be a declared winner? I don't know. Of course, everybody on the one side will say his side won. Everyone on the other side will say their candidate won. I'm not sure there's a real clear winner. I think that they both had serious issues. They both had serious problems. But anyway, that was that. But I did actually watch the whole thing, and maybe I'll watch some of the commentaries of it, see what people are saying on one end of the aisle and the other. But Very interesting indeed. Google removed email. Now you miss a lot. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive on into the subject matter, shall we? Then who knows? Maybe by the time I'm done getting the bulk of my content done, the event will actually just be starting. So anyway, nobody do Trump yelling. No, if I want Trump yelling. Well, I mean, and honestly, yeah, Trump yelled a bit. Biden yelled a bit. They both talked over each other way more than they should have. Trump did talk over Biden more than Biden talked over Trump. A lot of that, like, I don't know. I don't want to get into all the politics of it all, but it was an interesting video. PopOS better for gaming. You know, I've heard that, and so I threw up PopOS onto a hard drive just to test that, and I actually found that it did some things better and some things worse. So that one computer with like the 2 video games I wanted to play, I actually have to dual boot. If I want one video game, I have to do Linux Mint. If I want the other video game, I have to do PopOS. How to take a job at the interactions aspect. Absolutely, man. I agree. That's the if Trump did not sit down there in talk over Biden, it would have been a clear victory on Trump as far as the debate went. But since he did, and it was almost cringy to watch, it was like, okay, dude, shut up. Just shut up. Both of you just shut up. Best debate ever. 90 minutes, just have them staring at each other. There you go. That's the best way to go. Or maybe the moderator could have been like, all right, we're going to kill your microphone so that he can talk, and we're going to kill his microphone so you can talk. There you go. That would have been a better way to do it. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we want to do another distro wars, and I want to have a look at 2 distributions here. One of them is Ubuntu, and the other one is based on Ubuntu, being PopOS, as you can see from your screen. We want to look at the ease of installation and the ease of getting used to the desktop, and basically a few other general factors for a new user switching over. I did want to spend a little bit of time talking about the OEM install process, because I think that this is a useful thing. If you're installing a computer for somebody else, you kind of want to do an OEM install. Many distributions are now putting that in the list. So if you boot up Linux Mint, you have your grub menu shown, and then you can go down and select the OEM install. PopOS just loads right into the OEM installer. Ubuntu by default loads directly into a live disk with the test or the install option, but there is a OEM install option inside of the distro that you download normally. And so that's kind of what I want to look at and focus on here for the purposes of this video. First, we'll have a look at PopOS. This is, of course, a customized GNOME Ubuntu build built by System76 for System76 Linux computers. So if you are looking for a computer with Linux pre-installed, System76 is one of the better computers you can get. They are more higher end computers, but they have a lot of excellent support. They are US made, and the operating system is absolutely incredible. They have done so much under the hood. I am not specialized enough in PopOS to tell you what all they did, but I can tell you they've done a lot of special modifications to help work, particularly with their hardware. And the one thing that they've done that most other Linux distributions have not is disabled the Intel Management Engine, which is a subset Linux operating system, like Linux-like operating system, we should say, that runs on the processor itself, which is a security vulnerability many people have addressed. PopOS is one of the few distros in the Linux world that actually disables that. And so that is in and of itself a compelling reason why you want to run Pop, although I'm not sure if that's necessarily something that happens when you download it and install it onto your custom hardware, but if you're purchasing a computer from them, it is definitely the case. When you go ahead and hit the download button, you have the option of your standard download and you have an NVIDIA download. Okay, so the difference is between these two is the NVIDIA obviously is geared up and explicitly used to install PopOS when you have an NVIDIA setup for NVIDIA graphics. Or you can go ahead and do your standard download for any other graphics. And one of the better options that it has, you have, of course, just their page here about PopOS, We have auto tiling. This is actually a really nice new feature that was put in the more recent version of it to give you really a lot of better options for tiling your windows. If you are a developer, then that has a lot of developer toolkits already installed by default. So that's going to make it a good choice for developers. Now, I did have a request to do a video looking at PopOS versus Fedora in terms of development, because Fedora does the same thing. I'm just not knowledgeable enough in development to tackle such a video. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Ubuntu, on the other hand, this is a desktop or a distro, Linux distro with another modified GNOME desktop environment, which is really Linux for the masses. And they've done a really good job of marketing and promoting Linux. And I think that they are the company that brings more people to Linux than anybody else. And for that, they are to be praised. Whether or not it's the best operating system when you get to Linux is certainly up for debate, but we cannot deny the positive things that Ubuntu has done for the Linux community in terms of bringing people to Linux. It was the first distribution I've ever experimented with, and you cannot discount that. So let's talk real quickly before I dive into the into the desktops themselves. Let's go ahead and talk about the desktop environments. Of course, both of these by default are running a form of a customized GNOME. PopOS is closer to a more vanilla GNOME. Ubuntu is certainly a bigger deviation, but Ubuntu's changes do make it a little bit more user-friendly as far as GNOME is concerned. As far as other desktop environments, PopOS only has the one option, but it does provide documentation for how you can install extra desktop environments. Ubuntu has the community developers, which build a variety of Ubuntu builds with other desktop environments. So both of them do have those options. PopOS is a little bit more complicated. Ubuntu, you just go to the developers, the community editions list, and you look for the desktop you want and you download that one instead. So that is certainly something that is worth mentioning. So with that being said, though, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and boot up PopOS to start. And we'll have a look at what the desktop happens to look like. Silence for easy editing. Man, this thing takes a long time to load. I think I can. All right, so here we have landed on the login screen for PopOS. When we click in on this guy here, we can enter our super secret password. That's definitely not 123. And then we will go ahead and boot up the desktop environment. We are going to land on PopOS. Now, PopOS, as I said, is pretty much GNOME. They do have a couple of extra little add-in features to it that I'm going to highlight. So once we land here, of course, this is pretty much going to look like and resemble your standard GNOME. But one of the things that I want to highlight first is if you are interested in testing out or trying out tiled window managers, we actually have an option up here to do this. So here I've got two windows that are floating on top of each other. We actually have an option down here where you can set up to tile windows. You can, it will show you here what the shortcuts are and things like this. So here's your active hint color, things like that. So if we go ahead and tile the windows, you'll see it'll kind of tile the windows. And then if we pull up another window, it's going to go ahead and retile and automatically tile your windows around. All right, so there you can, it's going to keep tiling stuff around because we have tiling enabled. If you disable the tiling, now you are free to move things around. So if you are wanting to experiment with a tiling window manager, but you still want to be more comfortable with a full desktop environment, then this is actually a very logical place to start. The other thing that I'm going to mention that is different is they do use a their own custom store, which, if I remember correctly, I think it is based on Elementary's store, which is actually very good. So just click in on the category that you would like, and you can just go ahead and install whatever you are looking for. Now, PopOS uses a philosophy where they do run Flatpaks and they do run repositories. By default, they do not run snaps. Whoop, I did not want to install it. I just wanted to pull it up. So you can see this one here is running from the deb package. The other one was running from your Flatpak. Now, one of the things that they have actually done that regarding the snap package is if you look at Chromium. What they actually do with the Chromium web browser, did I spell that wrong? There it is. What they actually do with the Chromium web browser is they have their option, which is a deb package. So this is the option that Linux Mint should have done. While I love Linux Mint and I do not like snaps necessarily, one of the things that Linux Mint did is they blocked you from installing snaps. And instead of packaging their own Chromium web browser, which is a very popular web browser, instead of doing that, they instead opted to just give you a dummy package saying how much they hate snaps. And that was really a wrong approach. What they did here is they gave you a Chromium web browser as a deb package, so you're not going to be installing the deb package, installing Chromium via a snap package like you will in Ubuntu. And if we go ahead and do snap list, you'll see that snap is not installed, but you can actually install it. What I did not actually test though is installing Chromium here. So I believe it would be Chromium-browser. If this is pulling from an Ubuntu apt cache, it might actually go ahead and install a snap version. Automatically installed, no longer installing. So it looks like it's... Okay, so they actually just mapped that right back down to the one that is already installed. So there you have it. Let's see. Oh, wait, never mind. Hold on. One new installed. Okay, let's go ahead and have a look at our menu. I did not test this one thing before I started the video, and I wish I had. Yeah, it looks like it just went ahead and just did the deb package again. See, unpackaging, setting it up. So yeah, it just did the same thing. So see, Snap is still not installed. So PopOS handled that way better than Linux Mint did. All right, so as far as other things, everything else that we're really going to find is going to be under the hood type items. You can see here they do not overbloat the system. We do have LibreOffice. We have some system tools, some basic utilities. Other than that, I installed Chromium. Everything else is exactly as it is. So it is a very minimal operating system. Very well out of the box. Now, as I'd mentioned, the installer for this is simply an OEM installer. You boot it up, and it's going to go right on into install an OEM. You install everything, shut the system down, and on the first boot, then it's going to ask you for your usernames, your passwords, and all of your other system settings. So there's PopOS. I would say it still has a little bit harder learning curve if you're just coming from Windows because it is a little bit different operating system. But if you are looking for something a little bit different and you're not intimidated by that, then that is certainly a good option. So let's go ahead and have a look at Ubuntu next. All right. Let's see. Okay, I think I already got some of those. Put Linux Mint in a VM in PopOS. Yeah, I mean, I thought about doing that, but the hard drive I'm using is like an old hard drive, and it does not run well. So I'm like, no, I don't think I want to do that. I don't really care. I don't really play games much anyway. That would be a good option, though. Kill his microphone. Wow, you just said basically what everyone on Twitter said in response to the debate. Well, the fact is, though, is no, it's not just kill his microphone. It's kill both their microphones because they both talked over each other a lot. Just mute the one who's does not have the floor right now. Let's see. Why do you ever torture yourself with an OS not to be run in a VM? Yeah, there you go. Disable Intel ME, but not Intel AMT. Okay. Okay. Hello, Mike. Greetings. I'm guessing I can't read that language, but does that say Linux Mint is the best? I don't know. PopOS was a little glitchy for you. All right. Pop has been stable and functional. I have it on a laptop and a desktop, but on desktop I also run Fedora. Need to mess with newfound knowledge of profiles manipulation in Chromium-based browsers. Hey, there you go. Newbie, that's very interesting. Well, thank you, Juan. Very glad it's helpful for you. Chrome browser snap through PopOS replaces it. Yes, yes. Yeah, I looked at I had to look at an AWS server for somebody the other day, and I went in and to do a check on the file system, and I had to go through like 35 loops of snap package that were installed. I'm like, what is this nonsense? Like, and we're not using any active snap packages on the server that I know of. It's like my Lance. Google's launched some creepy smart speakers with Google Assistant. Yeah, they've already launched creepy smart speakers with Google Assistant. That's, I mean, come on. One complaint you have is during boot, I've had the screen glitch for no good reason. Linux God, I'm an average guy. I reinstall if I want to remove a repo. There you go. XFS make the distro boot faster. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not particularly familiar with the details of XFS, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that Ubuntu implemented XFS in 2004 to make it boot a lot faster. If I'm not mistaken, Farron will be able to correct me on that. Is that right? Quoting you, since you said mute his microphone about both of them. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pixel 4a 5G is at $500 base. It's not too bad. Still more than I'd pay for it, but not bad. Install KDE themes on a GNOME desktop. No, they are completely different. Yeah, step number 1, install Plasma. Yeah. Yeah, you can change the desktop environment to KDE and then install KDE desktops, but you can't apply KDE themes to a GNOME desktop. That's certainly the case. All right, I'm going to attempt to start Ubuntu in this mode that you need to get to run. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna fight with it here, and then we're gonna move on over. This is a little complicated on a virtual machine. Kitty, don't hit the screen. Come on. Boot upright. Curse you. I really do not like the way that Ubuntu does not actually I don't like the way that it just automatically wants to go in and boot your first option, because it makes it a lot harder to get into the OEM install. Dude. If I can't get into it in like 2 or 3 options, I'm just going to say screw it and I'll tell you how to do it. Come on, Ubuntu. No. Okay. There we go. Had to fight with it a little bit, but I got it. I got it. I got it, folks. I got it. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and have a look at Ubuntu. Before we get there, I want to show you how you can do an OEM install on the basic Ubuntu ISO image. So on a virtual machine, this is a little hard, so I just kind of got to the screen, and then I'll just explain how to do it. On real hardware, it's a lot easier. Because the new Ubuntu, it bypasses the grub menu. It just automatically boots the first load for user-friendly purposes. I completely get why they did it. But if you have a distro set up where it's skipping your grub menu and just booting the first option right away automatically, then you can actually get around that by holding Shift on boot. When you hold Shift on boot on the Ubuntu ISO, you're going to get this menu here. So you can start with selecting your language. Now you have the Try Ubuntu Without Installing, which takes you to the live key with the option to install or not. You have Safe Graphics. You have the Install Ubuntu Safe Graphics, and then a few other options. So what you're going to want to do is push the F4 key, and you'll get this menu here. And if you go down to hit OEM install for manufacturers, and you'll see nothing changes there, but now just go ahead and hit the option to Ubuntu install. And then when it boots up Ubuntu, then it's going to land you directly on a Ubuntu screen, and you will see that the installer says it's going to be doing an OEM install. So if you are looking for an OEM install for Ubuntu, that's how to do it. There's a lot of documentation about download the alternative downloads. You don't need to do that. You just need to hold the Shift, boot the ISO up, hit the F4 key, select the OEM install, and hit OEM or hit install Ubuntu. So here it is booted up onto the desktop. It's going to automatically prompt an installer, and notice it is install the OEM mode. So with that, we're going to go ahead and shut this machine down, and then I'm going to boot up onto the desktop so we can see what it looks like. If the stupid thing lets me. Shut down. Thank you. You have to shut it down multiple times. What is this, Windows? I want to do its stop job for snaps. Never mind. Just die. Thank you. Minute and a half to shut down snaps. No. Actually, Farron, that was grub because I am on legacy mode here. In this particular case, I'm pretty sure. Only uses grub in UEFI? I don't know. I'd have to see which one it is. You might be right. All right, so here we are over on the login screen. You'll notice it is going to look pretty much the same. We do have an option down here in the corner. We have the option Ubuntu, which is on X, or we have Ubuntu on Wayland here. Caps lock is on, huh? I better re-enter my super secret password then. That's definitely not 123. All right. So when we get logged in over here, then we will just kind of land on the... we'll go ahead and land on the desktop. And when we land over here, we see that it is still a customized GNOME. It is basically the same thing that we had before, only you can see now that it does have a bar on the side. And on that basis, it has desktop icons. On those bases, I'm going to say it's probably going to be a little bit more user-friendly out of the box. We do have a help option right here. Neither one gives us any form of welcome screen. You'll notice here that there is just a little bit more software, not a whole lot, because one of the things that PopOS did, if you notice, is that organized everything here. So there was a separate place for the Office applications. We do have the utilities in one option here, but we had another place for system tools. And so a lot of these other items would be in system tools had Ubuntu did one of those. We also have a couple games on there. One of the things that we have here on Ubuntu is we have the additional drivers. And on, if I remember correctly, on PopOS, it puts additional drivers in the settings menu, but on Ubuntu, it uses this one here. So you can see it's finding the virtual machine drivers out of the box here. And if you were running like NVIDIA or something, it would pop up with NVIDIA drivers and stuff like that. So that's all we have under that basis over there. All right, now as far as the other software is concerned, just as far as doing other things inside of the system, I don't know why I started up system settings. Let's go ahead and have a look at their store. Now, the Ubuntu store, this one is now using the Snap store. This is a change from the latest versions of Ubuntu, which was using the GNOME Software Center. The Snap store is basically a modified GNOME Software Center. It's just that it generally is going to allow you to install apt, which is all now fixed, or your Snap packages. So if we look at Kden Live is the one I tend to like going to on this one, because this will have a Snap version and it has a repository version. It doesn't really tell us which one it is until we click in on it. So you click in on it, you'll kind of see where it comes from. So the one that we clicked on is the Snapcraft version, which we can choose if we want which version of the snaps that we have. And then the other one here should be from a repository. So you can see the source says Ubuntu Focal Universe. That means it's from the repository. All right. Not sure what is going on with that. Something went wrong. User share app data. No such file or directory. That's exciting. Okay. Apparently app data is not set up right for some reason. So inside of here, we do have our system updates will show up over here. We are using GNOME 3.34. We didn't check the GNOME version on PopOS. That wasn't exactly what I was specifically looking for, which versions they use. I think they're going to be fairly similar. But you'll see any updates will pop up over here. We should see a similar thing show up in the software store in PopOS as well. It's just that one had already been updated. This one I also updated. That just must be a new update. As far as other software available, it's, as we said, very similar. We do have a few extra tools on here. We have Live Patch, which will allow you to install some application or some updates that might otherwise require you to reboot the server. It allows you to do them in such a way that does not require the server to be rebooted, but it does require an Ubuntu account. We have Startup Disk Creator over here, to-do lists, and then just a variety of other things. We do have Thunderbird Mail here instead of Geary. I like that one. Thunderbird is definitely my preference. We do have a couple games installed. You can see Solitaire, Mahjong, Mines. Not sure if there's another one over there or not, but since I don't really play video games on Linux, I couldn't tell you if something else is here other than just telling you what the software is. We do have LibreOffice. This is something that both of them had. It should be a up-to-date version. Looks like it's not going to be version 7 yet, but we do have probably 6.2 or 6.4. 6.4. So that's certainly a completely up-to-date system. Overall, looking at the two, it does look like Ubuntu is going to be a little bit more user-friendly. We can see more clearly where the menu is. You can see that you have the option to put items on the side. Neither one of them really provide any customization as far as what the theming looks like, at least not easily. Yeah, there's going to be ways to change around some of the look and feel of it, but not nearly as much. You do have the option here on Ubuntu to change the width of the panel, though, and pretty much than that, they're otherwise the same. So which one of these is absolutely going to be better? Well, honestly, I would probably lean towards PopOS in that they've done a lot of things under the hood, which Ubuntu has also done a lot of things under the hood to make it work a little bit better. PopOS does specifically cover the NVIDIA drivers out of the box. Just grab the correct download for that. It's going to take care of a lot of your issues and a lot of your problems. Both of them are excellent operating systems. Both of them are actually available on commercially purchased hardware. So you can actually purchase computers, System 76 for PopOS. You can go Dell, HP, and Lenovo now. You can buy Ubuntu pre-installed on computers as well. They're both going to be very good. They're both easy to install. They both have OEM and I don't think PopOS has a non-OEM version to install, but they're both going to be excellent. Overall, though, since I'm not a huge fan of Snap and Ubuntu likes to push snaps first, I would personally steer towards PopOS first. It gives you the option to install snaps, but doesn't force you to have them on things like the Chromium package, which is really the big controversial one right at this moment. So anyway, there's kind of my take on these two. Let me know your thoughts on these in the comments down below. All right, let's hit a couple comments here. All right. Where'd my coffee go? There's my coffee. Let's see. Official documentation to change it. Yes, there is good official documentation. System 76 webpage has a lot of official documentation on changing it. Tom asks. It was XFS, not ZFS. One of the things that Ubuntu did in 2004, dealing with compression, allows it to boot faster. I didn't look into more closely what exactly it was. Was that ZFS? Okay, only uses grub on EFI. That's very possible. I'm trying to think, which menu did I get to? I think you're right about that. I don't think I got to a grub menu. Force using grub in legacy mode in all the flavors. Interesting. All right. I think it's supposed to skip grub when there is only one option. Yeah, there's not more than one option, but when you're setting up grub or whatever they're using, if it's using syslinux, as Farron said, I would probably trust his word on that over mine since he develops Linux operating systems. On that basis, you can set it up to show the menu or just automatically boot the first option. So it's a trend in the user-friendly Linux distributions to just automatically go in and select the first option because you don't want to have all these scary-looking menus. You want to boot the computer right into a splash screen and then land right on your login. Completely get all of that. And that's really what they're doing. The downside is if something does go wrong, they're not always clear on the documentation about how to skip that, which generally is just hold the shift key. Now, where I was having the issues is because we are on a virtual machine, you need to hold the shift key right at boot. And since you first boot the key up, the keyboard is not captured by the system. So what I had to do is I had to use the F12 key, go into the boot options, and reboot off the CD drive while holding the shift key. It's a little bit more complicated to do. But that's just related to the virtual machine. That's not something you're going to have. Can't get into GNOME, just doesn't seem to click with me. I'm with you there, Brian. I'm not a fan of GNOME either, personally. Ubuntu bootloader from live sessions on Legacy is ISO Linux Syslinux. Okay, thank you. Had to rebrand Farron. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm not using an SSD. I find that for this computer doing video production, video production kills SSDs really fast. And so for me, I can get the system to boot in about 3 seconds on an SSD, and it takes about 10 seconds to boot without the SSD. If I need to find 7 seconds extra in my life, I have bigger problems. And so as far as running, it runs with the same speed and efficiency on real spinning Rust. So no, I don't generally use SSDs. I have an SSD on a Linux Mint on my media PC, but I almost never use it. I'm almost always booting into Arch, which is an external hard drive. So no, I'm not using an SSD. Ubuntu 2010 and onwards, if I recall correctly, going to enforce having grub across all boards and all modes as a means of booting live sessions. Very good. Awesome. My favorite Linux distro is going to be Linux Mint. Or getting used to GNOME. I have to say it is your favorite DE for my workflow. Keyboard shortcuts move and resize between windows. Yeah, I've just found for mine, it completely doesn't jive with my workflow. So I don't like it, but I'm glad it works for you. I don't have any problems against it. Isn't Grub buggy on Live ISO? I don't know. Just getting here from the Google event. Goodness, that was terribly boring. Everyone here made the right choice. All right. Well, good to know. Good to know. All right. Being yeeted from the ISOs and Flavor of Grub taking over as the live session bootloader, both legacy and EFI. All right. GNOME update the respective snap runtime. I don't know. No idea what it is. I ran updates earlier today. I ran updates just about 2 hours ago, so I'm not sure what the update's for. I think that is Ubuntu's Arch impression of Arch. Hey, I have an update 2 hours later. Google live stream got over, no regrets. All right, didn't watch it. All right. Do you talk absolutely impromptu or write a script? I generally talk absolutely impromptu. Yeah. I have done a couple videos with a script. If you want to see an example of a video with a script, I did one. I think it was called Suits versus Neckbeards. That one was using a script. And my privacy, Reclaiming Your Privacy playlist series, those were all with a script. Hello, Insane Show. Greetings. I mean, to be fair, over here at Farron OS, I configured Grub to serve the job of language selection. There you go. All right. Year from Windows 10, Mac OS. Tried many distros. I seem to have settled on PopOS. Very good. Awesome, awesome. Hello, greetings. For SSD over HD because they're more stable. I don't know. Yeah, I have found that hard drives are infinitely more stable than SSDs personally. I mean, hey, I still have hard drives from 20 years ago that work perfectly fine. They're slow as all get out, but they work perfectly fine. Okay, how in the world your OS boot up in 7 seconds on hard drive while mine takes 40 in Arch Linux? My Arch Linux actually takes a long time to boot. I think part of that's just the Cinnamon desktop itself on Arch for some reason takes a long time. This computer here boots in about 7 seconds. Why? I have a lot of things turned off, so not a lot runs on startup because I use this for streaming and video production. That is it. And so I minimized the applications. I deleted everything I did not need, turned off a lot of the startup setup systems, things like that. All that kind of stuff got shut down. And with that, maybe it's Ryzen 5 1600. We got a 16 gigs DDR4 in here. I mean, it's system specs booting pretty fast. It's always booted fast. On the Google event mattering, just watch John Prosser later, see how many leaks he got right as usual. There you go. Absolutely not for everyone. Recommend everyone trying something like Cinnamon or KDE. I recommend everyone try all the desktop environments. See which one works with you. I mean, but if you are going to use GNOME, I'll tell you this. If you are going to use GNOME, learn the shortcut keys. It makes zero sense if you don't know the shortcut keys. But if you know the shortcut keys, it's amazingly good. It just doesn't jive with my personal workflow. Make a video about Chrome OS VirtualBox. I'll think about it. We don't talk about Cinnamon or else we'll start getting worried again about the likelihood of Mint shooting Cinnamon in the foot hard. I think this one might be a 7200, but I can't remember for sure what it is. Here, let me pull it out and check. Yeah, Cinnamon for some versions of Cinnamon, I get the same problem on my Dell laptop. It takes 4 or 5 minutes to get to the desktop. It might take 2 minutes. I don't know. It takes too long to get to the desktop. This computer, it doesn't. Trust Mint to eventually update dependency for Cinnamon to work in Debian unstable working on Mint 21X or something. Yeah, we'll see. Linux Debian is something I find really interesting. In cases something happens with Ubuntu, is there an alternative ready? For as far as Linux Mint, yeah, Linux Mint has the Linux Mint Debian edition, which at this point is becoming almost exactly like the standard Linux Mint. It's just based on Debian instead of Ubuntu, if that's what you're asking. Boots up in a full 1 minute. Quite annoying because basically any OS I throw on it does that. Yeah, that might be the case. USB drive can boot in 10 seconds. Yeah. Let's go live and thought I'd drop in and say hi. Well, greetings, Anthony McDonald. How are you doing? We're pretty much done with stuff. We're kind of wrapping stuff down. Noma's great with shortcut keys, but I don't prefer it to. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry. Pull out. Yeah. Hey, I do have an icy dock on here. I can't just push this button and the hard drive will just come shooting right on out. LDE Mint, but slightly behind Mint-wise and without PPAs. Yeah. Let's go ahead and feed the beast, and then we will wrap up the last final couple comments here. So, are you ready to be fed, Mr. Beast? Oh boy. Go. Give us some paw. Yeah, we got some paw. Did you get one? I don't know if you got one. There you go. We'll do this one, and we'll do one more for you. Whoa. Oh, down here. Are they finger licking good? They're finger licking good. He's like, yep, I got my kitty treats. I'm out of here now. See you, fair weather friend. See you, fair weather friend. You want to jump down there? All right. He's like, let me jump. It's gonna make it easy for you, cat. All right. Let's see. Puppy links would do 2 if PopOS. Too much for your hardware. Yeah. May backup 7200 hard drive currently in an enclosure, and then format it and put Mint or PopOS on it. There you go. Hard drive would come out like toast, just like the state of your running OS if you do that. Yeah. Try Debian Dog. Ooh, I don't know. I mean, CJ's is on Puppy Linux, but maybe Debian Dog would be a better one for him. Is there a Debian Cat out there? I mean, come on. What's a good way to back up all the data when you want to try a new DE without messing up your PC? All right, so on PopOS, so you don't actually have to do anything special. You can just install the new desktop environment, and then it will give you the options to do that. Let me have a brief look here. Let me see if I can show you how to do that real quickly. Generally, it shouldn't mess anything up. Okay. Of course, I just hid my comment thread. I got to find my comment thread there. Give me my comment thread. Thank you. Okay, so we have a list of them over here. Let's see. Let's see which one's going to be the easiest to do. Plasma. All right, so we're going to boot up Pop here. Let's just do Mate just because we can. All right. All right, so what we'll do here is let me go ahead and we'll head on back over to the desktop view. And if you just, if you head on over to support.system76.com/articles/desktop-environment, it's going to give you the list of desktop environments and the code that you are going to need to install them. So what we're going to do, actually, let me just go ahead and pull that up over here because I can't copy and paste from my main system in. We'll just go ahead and boot this screen up here. So let's do a PopOS desktop environments. All right, change the desktop environment, System 76. And then it's going to give you the list of all the desktop environments. We'll just go ahead and install Mate here. So I'm going to copy this one, boot up your terminal. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to install all this? Say yes. And then it's going to take a little bit of time to get everything installed. But once everything is all installed, then you just need to log out. And then you will have the settings option that we saw earlier down on Ubuntu. And then that will be inside here. So in theory, it should not mess with anything that you're doing. We'll go ahead and get some more comments while that installs. If you are wanting to be careful, though, anytime you're doing any major things, just make sure you have a copy of your home folder, including all of the hidden files within there. And that's generally all you're going to need for your system files. 5 desktops, bunch of VMs. Put the home on a separate partition. Just remap all the installs to that partition. KFC lawsuit will be at your door in 3 days. I've been saying that for a long time, unless they just recently added it. Does the cat bite? If you're holding a kitty treat from him, yes. Generally, no. One way to guarantee they don't stay if you want to move back. Yeah, I'm getting ready to show you how to do this. We are 45% installed. Okay, about disabling GNOME tracker. It slows everything down. CPU intensive. There you go. Idea why a thumb drive running live Cinnamon 20 looks better when installed from the same thumb drive onto an SSD. No. Read-write speeds. There you go. Might get some DE-specific applications that you would have to sort through. Yeah, there might be a few little things you might need to do. All right. Okay, so that finished. So we'll go ahead and exit out of that. Go ahead and close this, and we're going to just log out. We should not have to reboot the system. All right. We should actually have the option. Let's see. Yeah, we should actually have an option either down there or up here somewhere to choose which desktop environment. Let's go ahead and reboot the machine. I'm going to restart the machine. I should see an option for the new desktop environment. Oh, you do need to reboot or restart your display manager before it will show up in the list of options. So yeah, you do need to either reboot or restart GDM. Okay, so when we restart, then we should see it. So to Google it, but I don't know what to search exactly. All right, so first thing you want is this page here is what you want. And then we'll go ahead and get this guy booted up. Click on here. Now you'll see we have a little gear down at the bottom. So pull down this gear. You can see the PopOS or you can see Mate. So we're going to go ahead and boot this up. And now this is going to boot up PopOS into Linux Mate. So here you go. So here's your desktop environment. You'll see we have a separate control center. We have panels at the top. We have some panels at the bottom. And you can do different things with the menus. This is just the one that I figured would probably install quicker. And then if you're just like, I don't know about this one, then you can go ahead. I just want to hit the log out button. I think that's the log out, right? So go ahead and log out. You can go ahead and come back down to your gear, and you can boot back into your old desktop environment as well. So you never actually have to destructively change anything. Now, as some people have mentioned, there might be some setting changes that get messed up if you're using two similar desktops. So like Mate and GNOME shouldn't interfere with each other, but if you're doing like GNOME and Budgie or GNOME and Cinnamon, you might have some configuration files that change and differ around on you a little bit, just because those ones are very dependent on each other. Cinnamon less so than Budgie, as being very, very dependent on GNOME these days. I think it still requires GNOME to be installed if you are, if that's what you're thinking of. So if you want to do a full backup, like a full backup system, is it Time Shift, I think? So Time Shift is a Linux tool which will allow you to do system snapshots. So anything you're changing on your system, Time Shift, if you install that and set that up, that will make basically like a system restore point like Windows 7 used to have. GNOME and KDE, follow that link I had and just scroll down the bottom. You can see GNOME is there. You can see Plasma down there. They have UKUI, XFCE, LXDE, LXQT. So all of those are inside of the link that I put in there. So it's going to give you all of the information that you need. Press install, ignore the speed differences, was curious. Video was annoying, and I thought I would ask. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks to you and Brian for the insight. Absolutely. All right, guys. It is coming right up on 3 o'clock, so I need to head off. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and we will catch you guys. We should be doing a supporters stream tomorrow, and we will be weekly news roundup on Friday. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such